everyone, Becca here from Willow Hill Designs. Welcome to my channel, and I hope everyone is doing well and enjoying their day. It's a rainy day here, not my favorite kind of day, but we make the best of it. I do love fall though, so fall is not too much can go wrong in fall. I just think fall is a beautiful time of the year. But today I'm sharing week 45 of Margarete Miller's weekly collage planner challenge. And the prompts are something that reminds you of your grandmother, aunt, or mother, weather, something musical, something in watercolor, your favorite word, and a calendar page. So this, I went ahead and started gluing down part of the background. This background is from a calendar, and the image was more of a landscape style than portrait. So it was short. It wasn't going to cover the whole page. So I took this portion from the side, cut it off, and I left these leaves. I just sort of cut around them so that I could tuck things if I wanted to under them. And so this to me does speak of the weather. It speaks of sweater, I can't say it, sweater weather, cool temperatures, chilly mornings, chilly evenings, fires, apple picking. I just love that. So to me, when the leaves change, it's definitely chilly sweater weather. So I decided on this page for my background. And this image of the sunflower I had already glued down. I'm choosing to remember my grandmother and my mother, although I do have a favorite aunt that could also fit with a lot of these memories. My grandmother, when we would go to visit her, which was almost daily in the summertime, we'd go to see her garden and go to visit her. And when she had two huge vegetable gardens, her and my grandfather, and along her vegetable garden were these huge sunflower plants that stood sort of as sentries or sentinels along the edge of the garden, and they were the mammoth sunflowers, and the heads were probably 14 to 16 inches across. And as a little girl, I mean, they just towered over me, and I have such beautiful memories of them. And when my husband and I built our house, I decided that I wanted to plant the same mammoth sunflowers at our house, and we've been doing it ever since. And they grow 13, 14 feet high. Some years I have the wonderful huge heads. Some years the squirrels get to them before I can. Although I save the seeds for the squirrels mostly, and birds, and some I save to plant. But my grandmother loved flowers, so did my mother, and they both had green thumbs. Also my Aunt Millie. My grandmother, we called her Nonnie because we're Italian, and I had two Nonnies, two Italian grandmothers. The other Nonnie went to heaven before I was born, and this Nonnie that I am remembering with this page left when I was 12. She was 84 years old, so I wish I had gotten to know her more or had her longer. But she loved flowers. My mother as well loved wildflowers, and when we'd go out in the woods to hike or to have picnics, we would often find wildflowers and dig them up for my mom. Trillium, some of the wild flag irises, and just wonderful little Dutchman's breeches we would find for her. So the flowers make me think of my mother and my grandmother. And one of the prompts is something from a calendar page, and that would be this word, November, which we're in the month of November. And I just inked it up a little bit just to give it a little bit more of a vintagey kind of look, since I'm talking about people from a while ago. And so I thought I would put this here, maybe behind the sunflower. And the other thing that I remember about my grandmother is that she loved to sew. She was an unbelievable seamstress, self-taught, and she had a white treadle machine, white rotary treadle machine. A matter of fact, I have her machine. And it's very hard to sew on a treadle machine and get the tension really nice and even. And she could do that. She was just unbelievable. If anyone has ever treadled, you know that it's not easy. And her work, I have a lot of her linens and things, and her work was just beautiful, perfection. So I had to add this. I had to add a vintage sewing machine, and it is the same model that she has. And thinking of my mother also, my mother taught me how to sew. So I know I get my love of sewing from my grandmother and also my mother, who taught me to sew, and I think it was in 8th grade, home ec. They don't have that anymore, but I learned to sew and loved it. I have never looked back. I've been sewing ever since. I used to sew my clothes in high school. I've sewn clothes for balls when my husband and I would go to the guards' dinners. They would call it a guards' ball. And then I made my children's clothing as well. So sewing has been a big part of my life, and I can thank my grandmother for the inspiration and my mom for teaching me. My grandmother, her sewing room was a small bedroom, and it was very sunny, and I remember her sitting in there treadling, and you could hear the clickety-clack of the machine. It was just wonderful. And I was just thinking I shouldn't have glued that completely down. Not yet. I never remember my order for this. And the other thing remembering is my mother. My mother played the piano, and she could just make a piano sing. I mean, it was just amazing how she could do that. And that's a huge memory in my life, is my mother's piano playing. So I thought I would add some piano keys here in remembrance of her. I have to cut that down a little bit more. And I took lessons as well. My sister and I both did. And I used to play all the time, but I kind of got away from it when you have kids and a family. I've kind of gotten away from that. Take a little tiny bit more off of that. But the piano keys definitely were part of, that make me think of my mom, and that would be something musical. So I will add that. We used to love it when she'd sit down and play, because, oh my goodness, no one could play like her. My favorite aunt also could play beautifully. Both of them, but my mom especially. So that's another remembrance. And let me see, what else do I have here? A favorite word to me would be love. I would say that's one of my favorite words. I love the word grateful. Blessings, count your blessings. Gratitude is very important in life. I actually keep a gratitude journal when I remember. But I think for me, love is really my favorite word because without love, life is just empty, I think. Whether it's people that you love or activities that you love or, you know, your hobbies and your crafting, love is just, I don't know, what is that saying? Love makes the world go round. It truly does. And of course, I love my mother and my grandmother, so that definitely had to be there. And the calendar page, I think I can glue that down now. My goodness, I'm all discombobulated today in my order of things because I'm still in sewing studio rearranging kind of nightmare, semi-nightmare status, although I'm probably 2/3 of the way through, which is good. But I think my brain is probably a little fried from all of that. And let's see, to go along with the sewing machine, I have these little images of thread that I got on a card, and it's a little note card, and I just think it's so adorable. So I thought I would put them here, and I guess I could glue these leaves down now. I don't think I have to put anything, although I do have this. I might pop that there. I thought I would put these little spools of thread here because I love thread. I have a huge collection of thread that I use for quilting, and it just makes everything so much better when you have the right colors. So I thought I would add them, and they go with the sewing machine. And I have this little bird too that is definitely a watercolor image. Along with the background, I'm pretty sure that's a watercolor image. So I thought I would put that little bird sitting on these spools of thread here because I love birds. So I thought we have to have a little bird in there. I feed the birds. I've been feeding them my last year's sunflower seeds because the squirrels pretty much attacked my sunflowers this year. They jumped up on them and broke the heads, so the heads were leaning down and they never really got to ripen fully the way they should have. Oh, my squirrels are so bad. They're definitely not endearing themselves to me in this way at all. So, but yes, they got a nice fill of sunflowers this year before I got to really harvest them and save them. So I will just glue down this thread. And both my mother and my grandmother, excuse me, were very, very strong women. Just such a wonderful example to me of strength and character, and I treasure that in them because they lived and set that example for us. They taught by example, and I love that. So I thought I would put this little bird here, looking at the sewing machine. So birds, my mom She was a birder, a bird watcher. She could tell you all kinds of birds. She could name, you know, even the most remote birds. She was really good with that. And I love to watch and feed birds too, so birds had to be part of this little collage image here. And on this bird, I just very lightly with not vintage photo, but the other one, I think it's vintage linen, one of those. And I just touched right here on the edge of this little bird's breast to just sort of darken that so you could see that, and then went over that with my Derwent pencils to just bring that color out a little bit. It was kind of a pale watercolor. And lastly, I have a pin cushion from this same card that had the little spools of thread. It had an image of a quilt and spools of thread on it, and my grandmother definitely had her little pins and a pin cushion in her sewing room. My mom did, and I do. I made and sold pin cushions for many years. The felted wool, matter of fact, I'm just finishing up a custom order for someone, wet felted wool pin cushions, and I have them all over my sewing room. So I thought I would put this here to go along with the sewing machine. Can't have a sewing room without a pin cushion. And I have to say that my Aunt Millie was also a wonderful sewer, gardener. She had a green thumb. She had a crown of thorns tree that was 6 feet tall in her a family room. She also had a huge jade plant that was like a tree. She was amazing, my grandmother, my mother, and they passed that love of plants and growing things and flowers on to me. So it kind of ties in with all three of them. My Nonnie, my mom, and my Aunt Millie are kind of all embodied in all of these images here. So that is my page for November, or for week 45, I should say. And so the prompts are, let's see, where is my pen? Do I have a pen here? Yes, I do. So the prompts are something that reminds you of your grandmother, aunt, or mother. And again, the sunflowers for my Nonnie, and the flowers for her and my mom, and the sewing machine, her and my mom, and my aunt. So definitely those things. Weather, and that would be the leaves in the background, which of course it's fall. And in fall we have chilly weather, crisp, cold, chilly days that are invigorating. So weather, something musical, that would be the piano. Keys for my mother's beautiful piano playing, and my aunt as well, my Aunt Millie. Something in watercolor. I'm pretty sure these leaves, this background is watercolor, but also this little bird. Not sure what that is. I'm not sure if that's, I don't think that's a little titmouse. I'm not sure what that is, but that would be something in watercolor. My favorite word is love. Most definitely, love makes the world go round. Love is life. So that's my favorite word. And a calendar page. Well, this was on a calendar, the background, and November is also something from a calendar. So that is everything. And I have finished week 45. Whoops. Just under the wire. So I'll give you a little close-up. Hopefully I won't glare too much. So this is my page. Oh, sorry for any glare. It's late in the afternoon now, and my lights are on, so I think they're causing a little bit of a glare. And my daughters are texting me. If you can hear ping ping, that's my daughters. But so that is my page. Thank you very much for watching, for joining me today. Thank you for following me on this journey, which I am enjoying thoroughly. It's just it's really been fun, and each time, each week, when I think, oh gosh, I don't know what I'll do for that, it's amazing when you find these beautiful images that come through. And of course, we have to love what we choose for our images. So I love this page. I don't know if anyone else does, but I personally love this because it has so much of my favorite things and favorite memories on there. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.